So I am currently standing directly outside the office of the Prime Minister of Canada, and I want to remind Canadians that Mark Carney has now been our Prime Minister for over 5 months, and he doesn't even have the respect for the Canadian people to have an office where you can write him. 5 months in, Mark Carney, when you visit the Government of Canada's website, he still does not have a head office. For context, Pierre Poilievre won his riding 3 days ago, the honorable leader of the opposition, and he already has not one, but two home offices. Right now, Mark Carney is in Ukraine giving away another 2 billion taxpayer dollars to the cause. Meanwhile, a record 2 million Canadians are using food banks. I live about 2 blocks down the street from where Mark Carney's head office is. I'm sure he absolutely never visits the area, but there are crackheads all over the place. There is crack smoking. It feels as though you're in a dystopia. Those $2 billion sure would be useful in Canada right now. Yet Mark Carney neither has the respect for the Canadian people to even have a head office. There are rumors that this man currently lives in New York. We certainly know he's not going to answer any questions in front of the press because he barely speaks to the press at all. You see this guy once every couple of weeks poke his head out. Otherwise, total silence. He was essentially installed through the leadership process, but the lack of respect for the Canadian taxpayer and the Canadian people is truly shocking from this elitist snob who spent his entire adult life outside of Canada, has worked for the WF, Davos, and Brookfield, and again, has not even had the respect in the first 5 months for him to get an office where Canadians can write him at, because some of us don't use social media or would like to be able to write our Prime Minister. It's truly disgusting. Now, in terms of how Carney has actually run the country, he has run the country as though we are Brookfield Asset Management, as though Canada is a corporation, which it is becoming more and more every day, rather than a country. He has allowed another 800,000 immigrants in the country in Q1. This despite the fact that 75% of Canadians, as overwhelming a consensus as you will see anywhere, say we cannot afford more immigration right now. And you may ask why. Well, the answer is quite simple. Brookfield Asset Management owns $37 billion with a B dollars worth of real estate in Canada, and Carney needs to continue to pump those numbers up. What's the easiest way to ensure that the real estate bubble in Canada, which has absolutely decimated middle and lower class Canadians, continues to inflate? Well, that's easy. Continue to allow hundreds of thousands of immigrants into the country. Doesn't help the Canadian middle or lower class one iota. In fact, study after study shows it hurts the Canadian middle and lower class. But what does Carney care? He's looking out for his buddies at Brookfield, and $37 billion has more than doubled since Trudeau was elected in 2015, and he needs to continue to pump those numbers up. You may say, why exactly is Canada giving China $1 billion contract to build 3 ferries for Vancouver at the same time as they just announced 75% tariffs on canola, further decimating the provinces of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta? They have been absolutely decimated over the past decade by Liberal policies. Why in God's name would we give them $1 billion when they continue to damage 3 incredibly important provinces in our country? The answer to that is quite simple. Look into it. The government of China gave $250 million to Brookfield Asset Management 2 years ago. It's truly incredible when you dig into the vast majority of Mark Carney's policy decisions are literally being made on behalf of Brookfield Asset Management rather than the Canadian people. Another example, there's too many to list, but I'm going to name a few major ones. Carney made a big deal out of all these major infrastructure projects that he wanted to get off the ground before he was elected Prime Minister. Unsurprisingly, he's announced another bureaucracy, another government organization in charge of projects, but barely any of the projects have gotten off the ground. One of the few that has started to receive funding is $25 billion for prefab housing. You may say, that sounds interesting. I don't know that many Canadians who are interested in living in a prefab house. Well, Brookfield just purchased a company called Modular. Guess what they do? Prefab housing. Time and time again, Canadian policy decisions are not being made for the benefit of the Canadian people. They are being made for Brookfield Asset Management. As far as I'm concerned, Carney's time as Prime Minister could be renamed. Rather than the country of Canada, he's looking out for Brookfield Asset Management. A product. I have another homeless guy yelling at me. This is Ottawa. This is Ottawa. It's crackheads and homeless people all over the place. Brookfield Asset Management, a subsidiary of China. it's truly shocking. And like that experience I just had, that is everywhere on the streets in Ottawa. It's truly everywhere. Open crack smoking. Another example of an insane Liberal policy is these safe supply rules where there could be absolutely no science backing this up. You are legally allowed to smoke crack in public in Canada. It's insanity. There's no data backing it up. Literally, it's inverse world. We want to punish the law-abiding citizens, and we want to reward the criminals. Again, we're seeing that the Liberals are going crazy on this gun buyback program, where you know that the only people turning their guns in are going to be law-abiding citizens. Criminals are not going to turn their guns in. Well, at the same time, they've gotten rid of castle laws. You're not allowed to defend yourself. There's a story out of Ontario recently. A home invader attacked him. He attacked back, and he is being charged with assault. So a man in his own home has somebody break in. He defends his family as any of us with a brain would do, and he gets charged. It's like we're living in crazy town in Canada right now. Carney's in Europe right now. He's barely been in Canada. He continues to shovel money out to foreign countries when the standard of living under Liberal leadership in Canada has plummeted like you wouldn't believe. Spend the goddamn money in Canada. It's true insanity. I'm going to be hosting a rally, Take Canada Back rally, Saturday, September 13th, same day as the UK is doing it. They're hoping to have 500,000 out. I want to get tens of thousands on Parliament Hill. Starts at noon. Take Canada Back. We patriotic Canadians need to hit the streets and say enough is enough of this woke BS lunacy that is destroying this country. Saturday, September 13th, noon, Parliament Hill. If you're interested in more details, please shoot me a message. I'm at 10K followers on TikTok, and the Canadian government isn't a big fan of dissidents. So please make sure you're following me on YouTube, youtube.com/AppFightForCanada2025, youtube.com/AppFightForCanada2025. Links in the bio. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share my content, grab some gear if you're interested. Saturday, September 13th, noon, Canadian patriots hit the streets. We are sick of this corrupt government stealing our money and ruining this once beautiful country.